Houston, we got a problem. This came off my boot. Love my boot, but there's a problem right here. The seam split. Okay, so now what? Means I need to come here to my friendly neighborhood Cycle Gear and do some boot shopping. So let's go boot shopping. Hey there, hi there, ho there. So, to find my new boots, I decided I would recruit somebody who had a ton of knowledge. My daughter. So this is Natalie. Say hi, Natalie.
Hello.
Okay, so what are you going to tell us about?
So when you're deciding on the appropriate boot for your style of riding, one thing to think about is how much are you going to be riding, where are you going to be riding, and what are you riding? So there's longer rides, there's, okay, well, I'm just going to be riding around a little bit, possibly run some errands. And then there's, I'm going to be on my bike for like 6 to 8 hours doing a few little stops. So that would really lead you to your decision on what height of boot, what type of boot. Because if you look at boots like these over here, these are more of the casual, I'm going to be walking around after I ride kind of boot, because they're a little bit shorter, so they've still got that ankle protection in there. You can see this one has a little bump out on the side, so that is actually a protector for your ankle. So should anything go wrong, your ankle is not going to be crushed. It's a really good option, and a lot of these shoes are not plain shoes. They actually have toe protection in them as well, which makes them a lot better for riding a motorcycle. They'll also have reinforced toes and things like that. You can really see it on these Street and Steel Valor boots right here. It's got the reinforced toe for shifting and everything like that. So you may think, okay, well, I can just wear steel toe work boots and that'll be fine. Not really. Laces are not always the best option to ride a motorcycle with. Then you have the reinforced toe, so that's going to really be affected by the shifting if you're wearing a normal shoe. There's also the reinforced toe in another way. It's made for motorcycle accidents, and steel toe boots don't have that rebound. So this would be a bit more for, I'm gonna make a few stops. I want to look more casual as I go throughout my ride. So these are more of like a cruiser style, more casual. You can go with sport bike and everything like that. So they're very versatile boots, but they're not necessarily touring or longer ride boots. And that's when you get into a little bit more, it's not exactly an ankle boot, but I would call it more of like an intermediate or shorty boot. So these are made, this one is the Built Pro Tour waterproof. It's an adventure boot. It's gonna, instead of having laces, it's going to be Velcro, or it's gonna have this zipper closure with Velcro over it to help with that. So it's a bit more of a longer ride boot. It's still got some flex to it. So that's really gonna be one other thing that affects your thought process towards what kind of boot you're gonna be going for. And then if we shift over here, you're gonna have more of, these are like the sport boots. So these are gonna have the longer length to them for riding and everything like that. These Sedici Corsa race boots in particular have a little ankle spot right there, so it's a bit more comfortable to go around, because look at how bulky that is. These boots in particular are more for sport bikes or track time. They've got the toe slider on there, they've got the reinforced bit for your shifter, and then they also have this for gripping onto your bike and keeping it smooth so you don't have any friction or anything as you move around. So that would be more for sport, track time. Some people really like to go in full leathers on the street. So if you want to be very high speed and fancy, you could go with those kind of boots, but they're not necessarily touring. They're going to be a bit hotter, stiffer, things like that. If you need to make a break or anything, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So something over here, or like those Built boots over there, would be more comfortable. You're thinking about not just long-term protection, but also long-term comfort as well when you think of a touring boot, which is something like that. So you're thinking, not particularly laces. It's going to have something to protect those laces because you're going to be doing longer times of riding. The vibrations, the wind, all that stuff, it can untie your laces.
Avoid laces. And what about the height of the boot? I see some touring boots down there on the right, but they say street. Is that because they're shorter?
It could be a factor that goes into it. I would personally say that these are a little bit more of touring boots, just looking at them, because they do have that protected toe. They've got this. They're also waterproof. You don't see very many like street boots or things like that. They're gonna be waterproof.
So maybe for touring, for commuting, those might be really good commuter boots then.
Yes. Because they are a little bit lower. They've got some more room in the ankle. They've still got that ankle protection and everything. So it would be
a little easier. So the lower the boot, it's easier to walk around in.
Yes. You don't have that protection going all the way up to the bottom of your knee.
So for keeping the water from coming in when it's raining, I really want to make sure to have a taller boot. So we're probably going to be looking over at the next section at the taller boots for me.
Over here. So there is a lot of crossover with adventure boots and touring boots because there is like the adventure / touring section of bikes, because the further you go out in the US, there's going to be dirt roads, gravel roads, things like that, or ill-maintained roads. So one really great thing about Cycle Gear is that they label all of their stuff on what they would really say it's meant for. So we've got these Forma Adventure Low boots. They're again a little bit lower, but they're not as low as the street boots. So you've still got that ankle protection. There's no laces. They've got multiple ways to connect. So they've got, like dirt boots, the straps with the Velcro and everything, but they've still got that good sole and everything for walking around and everything as needed. If you've ever been on a dirt bike or anything, you know that these are like walking around in. Yeah,
not for walking around. No, they're for standing up on the pegs.
Yeah.
Walking around in dirt bike boots is not all day comfortable.
Pretty difficult. You typically just like waddle around and you can't move your ankle, because if you get into an accident, too much movement is definitely a bad thing.
Okay.
It's like if you're on a sport bike track and you put your foot down because the bike is starting to move in a way you don't want it to, you're going really fast, and that's going to move your foot in a way that's not good. The boot's going to try to protect you from that, but there are some cases where you do get injured. The boot will come off.
Oh,
very bad.
Not good.
So the movement of the boot is actually kind of like a protection feature as well.
Okay. So if I want to go walk up to a waterfall and it's like half a mile hike to get to it, I definitely would not want to do the dirt bike boots. That would be a no.
You would really be waddling.
So what I'm seeing now, that one directly to your right is a little bit too, not me. The one right above it, the brown and black, that looks interesting. And the one above it, the Formas, I think those are the two that I want to try.
Okay. They've got that ankle protection and everything. They're a little bit lower than the off-road boots. You can also see that they've got more tread on the bottom than the off-road boots, which are going to be made for hugging the bike, staying on the bike, not walking. So that's going to be a big difference between a lot of the touring boots and the off-road boots.
Okie dokie. Well, let's get me some boots to try. All right. So I'm trying on both of the boots, and here are the pros and cons that I see. First of all, they feel identical from here down. The boot itself feels, the shoe part of the boot feels the same between them. What I did notice right away is, besides the way they buckle differently, that's kind of irrelevant, but I noticed that the waterproof gusset on this boot is a little bit higher than the waterproof gusset on this boot. You notice this one comes just at a high top tennis shoe level, and this one is much higher. So, you know, for waterproof security, if you're going to step into puddles and things like that, you're going to want the higher waterproof. The other thing that I noticed on these two boots, and the big deciding factor for me, is that on the Alpine Stars, the front is rounded. On the Forma, it's kind of straight, and it has an elastic band here. And this is just cutting in. They're that little bit shorter by maybe half an inch or an inch. And they are just cutting on the front of my foot, on my leg. My shin is just getting beat up right here, and it's just not comfortable. The Alpine Stars are $50 more, but the longer I wear them, the more the Formas are cutting in and they're not comfortable. This is a good illustration of why it's important to try different boots on. And you know, what might be perfect for one person and they wouldn't notice that it's cutting in on them, their shins won't be bothering them. For me, it's bothering me, and so I'm gonna go with the Alpine Stars. That's it for shopping for boots. Now I know what I'm gonna get. And please, as always, remember to like and subscribe, hit the little bell in the corner that will let you know when new videos drop. And guys, I'm out here riding to support project247.org. It's a new suicide prevention tool. Please go check out project, the word, the number 24, the word 7.org. project247.org. Go check it out. Save a life.